The way of karma is impossible to understand from the viewpoint of the onlooker who sees somebody doing something. The onlooker cannot tell whether the person is acting or not acting. Only the one doing the action will know. This is very deep. To understand karma, one has to rise up to a certain level where it is possible to discriminate between correct action, wrong action, and inaction.
Namaste and welcome, and we know it means the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. The divine in you recognizes the divine in me. And we start like that to remind ourselves again and again that we're all part of this great family called human beings. And actually the animals are part of our family too, but they vibrate at a different level. And it's we do need constant reminding. What can we do? We're humans. We keep falling into the trap of worry, suffering, controlling, and unless we constantly are reminding ourselves, we keep going back into traumatic habits that really upset us and take away our own peace. Because here, what is yoga but finding your own peace? It's nobody can do this for us. I know I keep telling people this, not to discourage you, but to encourage you to really look after yourselves. Life is so important. Your body is so important. It is your temple. To remind you constantly that if you don't love you, who will? Of course, we're always looking for love from outside. But if you love you, then you look after you. Then you look after your mental health, your bodily health, and your spiritual health. And we seem to do body a lot. And we seem to forget our spirit quite a bit. We will talk about it. But the actual success comes with practicing. The theory is not enough. You have to do the practice. And that's the truth. So people can help you. I can help you. Knowledge is great because knowledge can open your inner doors. But what happens is a lot of people take in the knowledge and they really live with it for 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 months. And then I guess we get pretty cocky and egotistical and proud, and then we think we know it all. And that's when we fall again. So it's like everything else. If you want to be really stay good at it, you have to keep working on yourself all your life. But what better work than that? What better work? Because ultimately, all the, like I keep saying, the physical parts of us, the material parts of us are all going to be left behind. And if we're not prepared for the ultimate moment, it's pretty sad, because the whole mission of the human life is to be self-realized, at least to know we're much more than what we think we are. And I love the Gita because here Arjuna's fighting with his worldly battles, and which he has to fight because karma comes to all of us, and because of his karma he's got this horrible war in front of him. And here's his teacher, Lord Krishna, representing the divine in us, or the avatar outside, the teacher outside and inside, telling him how to fight the war. And the whole book is really a lot about renunciation. So we finished up to chapter 3 last week, and now we start chapter 4. And chapter 4 is called The Wisdom Yoga of Action and Renunciation. In other words, how to act. And what do we mean by renunciation? So I'm going to read the first few slokas. They're called slokas in the Gita. Sloka means verses. I'm going to read the first few verses and then explain them, all right? The Blessed Lord said, I taught this indestructible yoga science to Vishavat, the sun god, who taught it to Manu, the father of humanity. Manu, in turn, taught it to the great sage Ishvaku. The yoga science was thus regularly passed from teacher to disciple over the ages. Even the saintly kings knew it. But over a long time, Arjuna, the succession was broken, and the teachings were lost. Now I'm giving you this supreme secret of yoga because you are my devotee and my friend. So Arjuna asked, but you were born long after Vishabhat. How is it possible that you taught this science in the beginning? Lord Krishna said, you and I have taken many births, Arjuna. I know them all, but you do not. The truth is that I am eternal. I am not born. I never die, and I am the Lord of everything. Still, by controlling the elements of nature, my nature, I appear to take births by the power of my illusion, Maya. Okay, so here, Arjuna's a little confused, and as a student, here's the teacher saying, I was this in my previous life, and I knew this king, and I knew Manu. Manu was, the founder of humanity, according to the Indian scriptures, right? And he's saying, how do you know these people? You're born in this generation. They lived thousands of years ago. And he goes, yeah, but I'm going to tell you how I know. Because you are my devotee, you love me, and my friend. So it's kind of like us. When somebody loves you and has faith in you and believes in you, you want to give them everything. You want to give them all your love. You want to give them all your heart. So as a teacher, Lord Krishna is saying, I want to give you everything because you're really curious. You really don't want to fight, and you really want to understand what's going on. So I will give it to you. And he says, I was never born. I was never dead. I am. I'm consciousness. I was always there. So here, I'd like to talk just a little to introduce you a little to a bit of Hindu philosophy or Vedanta philosophy. We talk about Vishnu having 10 incarnations, all right? So we have a trinity in Hinduism, which is Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Now, Vishnu is, it is that it is, I am that I am. From Vishnu evolves Brahman, the creator, who we in Sri Patanjali call Ishwara, the guru of all physical gurus, right? And then we have Lord Shiva. We call Lord Shiva the god of creation and destruction. So Vishnu really is the preserver of everything. It's kind of like in the Trinity of Christianity: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So the Son would be the avatar. So because the divine is not something we can touch, God is not something we can touch and ever know with our mind. That's why we call it, science calls it consciousness. You can call it whatever you want, and this is what Hinduism says. It is polytheistic, and it is also monotheistic. Choose your own way. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It all is one in the end anyway. So, but to make it simple, what happens is humankind forgets that we are the spark. We come from the same consciousness. So because of that, age after age, and this is what he says, the next sloka, he says, when righteousness is lost and wickedness prevails, I appear on earth in bodily form. So Vishnu, the sustainer, the preserver, the Hindus talk about 10 incarnations, and it's very interesting. I mean, many people think it's mythology, whatever, but it's very interesting in the sense that the first incarnation, it's a fish. And when you think about it, we evolved, right? From the amoeba, according to science. And then we evolved into mankind, according to Darwin. So if you put everything together, it just makes a lot of sense. Why? Here, a master has a beautiful explanation. And it goes like this. God knows. If I go as God, either people won't recognize me or they'll be afraid of me because they don't know who I am. I just can't go as me because I'm neither man, neither animal, neither plant. I'm formless and nameless. How will you recognize me? So I'll just go to them in the many ways that they can recognize me. That's why among human beings, he comes to us as a human being. So Krishna is this, what we call the avatar. Now, what's the difference between avatar or somebody like us, right? Common human beings. The difference is that we come with karma. Avatars, they come from the highest source, and they choose to come to elevate mankind. And this is the promise there. Whenever righteousness goes, and we've seen it throughout history, it happens again. Human beings get very comfortable, everything works. After World War II, life progresses, things go good for a lifetime, and then what happens? Greed, 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 money, everything's going so well, right? Let's have the best cars, the best homes, and attention again outside. And then when you get to outside, you forget about inside. So especially in this age, we call it Kali Yuga, that most people in big corporations, I'm not saying all, they're wonderful people around, are focused more on the money, not their staff, not teamwork, although this is rapidly changing this year. You know, many companies, in fact tomorrow I'm going to Gibraltar to speak to one, are inviting people who are weird like me to speak about how they can find peace. Why is this happening? Because whenever there is a shift in energy, there's always like a rebellion, right? People are not happy anymore. You get agitated. This is why there's so much anxiety. You know, COVID was just the instigator to make us think, because we forgot to think. Yes, it's very easy, like I said, to talk about spirit when everything is going well. So what happens when everything is going well? We actually become very petty. We no longer think of higher values. We'll talk like this. He did, she did, your fault, my fault. And we go into a petty minefield which blows our mind and makes us so unhappy. So we forget. So here he's saying now wickedness is prevailing in Arjuna's time. That's why there's this war, because his stepbrothers, the 100 stepbrothers, cheated, lied to get their property off them. And this is not on. It's just not on. You forgive for 14 years, and after 14 years they still continue. You have to do something about it. So this is what he's saying. And I have come to support you. Here he's telling Arjuna, don't be scared. You're fighting a righteous war. You're not hurting anyone. So your desire is not to hurt, but to protect that which is good. See, it is really important to understand this. If you go into war, what is your intention? What is the intention? Is it for righteousness? Is it for goodness? Or is it just because you want to argue? If it's that reason, don't get into it. Don't get into it, because more fire will happen. But if you are there to save people, or to save yourself, then you have to. You have to save yourself. I always use in modern terms, battered woman or battered man. I've seen both these days, quite a lot. And I go, you have to save yourself. You don't want to go into this war. You don't want to go into this battle. But I'm so sorry, this is your karma. It is your battle, whether you like it or not. So how to approach that battle? How to approach it is what's important. Make the intention pure. So that's why for the human being, God appears as an avatar. So we can say Buddha is an avatar, Lord Jesus is an avatar. That's why he said, I am the sun, and he said, you are my brothers and sisters, and you will know me for the love that you show. So we read the Upanishads, which is Vedanta, end of all knowledge, and they talk about God as the Lord of love. But in this human mind, we can never grasp that. Science is trying to grasp it. They can't grasp it, so they say there is nothing. Because here he also says, I am nameless and formless. How can you... We can't with this human mind, you see? He says, age after age, I take birth to protect the good, destroy the wicked, and establish virtue. Yay! And that's why when we don't feel good in ourselves, we don't like ourselves, isn't it true? We just don't. And even people say, I don't mind doing this and this, but if you look at their body language, yes, they don't mind, but their life is full of complications and arguments and shouting and screaming. For me, this is hell. In chapter 3, it said, what is night for the yogi is day for the ordinary person. What is day for the ordinary person is night for the yogi. So for me, somebody who lives like that is in hell, but for them, it's normal. And many times when I do consultations with families and I think, oh my God, they are in hell and they gotta get out, So I pointed to them, I said, don't you feel you're living in hell? And they go, yes. I said, why do you want to continue? There is a way out. There always is a way out. Do it with love. Do it with kindness. Either you fix it or you break it. But either way, do it in love. It doesn't have to be cruel. Either way. So he says, to establish good, destroy the wicked, and establish virtue. 9. When people die who truly know me, instead of taking another birth, they come directly to me. So there he says, if you understand who you are, then you become me. So guess what? You don't have to come back to this planet of duality. You don't have to unless you choose. You don't have to come back to this planet. There are many planets. If we think, I still think, how can human beings believe that we're the only planet when you look at the galaxies? And they're saying the universe is growing every day more and more. How can we think that this is the only planet? How can we be so small-minded? Isn't it far more interesting to gaze at the stars? It's fascinating to think what could be there. And when you look at that, you think, and here I am, so puny, not even a grain of sand, and I'm complaining about this and that, or it just makes me feel so small. Do you see? So when we take our mind elsewhere into bigger aspects of life, bigger aspects of ourselves, there is a peace, there's a joy, And this is where Gurudev really got it right. He said, in order to live a good life, you need 3 things: to be peaceful, easeful, and useful. It doesn't work one without the other. You need all 3. And if you don't teach yoga and you just teach people to do that, a lot of people will be happy. That's the practice. You have to practice with your mind, right? So there he says it. Don't worry. That's why when people tell me, the times are really bad, don't worry. Happened World War I, happened World War II, happen now, it'll happen again, because it's a cycle until human beings realize we're much more than what we think we are. And of course, some people will never, and it's not in our place to force them. Maybe they need many more incarnations on this planet. So we don't know anything, and that's the good premise to start with. Many enter my being directly because they're free from passion, fear, and anger, because they take refuge in me, and because their hearts have become purified through austerities that led to wisdom. Now here he's talking about practices. He's saying many come directly to me. Everybody can connect with the divine. We can connect with the within us because they have, purified their minds and their hearts. And they take, when things go wrong, take refuge in that divine energy, in that consciousness, say it's the Lord of Love. Even if we're wrong, maybe there's not even the Lord of Love, but just saying that makes us feel better. So why not? People tell me, how do you know? I said, look at my face and look at your face. You're miserable and I'm happy. That's all I can say, right? It's easy. So that's how I know. I don't live like you in hell. I live in heaven. So that's how I know. Oh, that's because you don't have any problems. I said, do you want me to count my problems. I can tell you how many I have. I just don't focus on it because I know the plan is perfect, and if I have a problem, it'll get sorted. I just don't make a big deal and dance of it. You know, that's the difference. I don't tell everybody, oh, I've got so many problems. Da, da, da. Oh, my shoulder's hurting me. I went to the... This is true. I haven't slept well for 4 months. But who cares? It's only sleep. You know, it's pain. You know, people get old, they have pain. You know, my muscle here is in pain. What do? You can sit crying all day? No, of course not. You know, so it'll pass. It'll get better when it gets better. But this is what we do. We play and make ourselves miserable. So we need to have a little common sense. No extremes, no extremes, no extremes. Extremes just make you feel so sick. So anyway, so he's saying, and you take refuge in me. I take refuge in God. My version, which is nameless and formless, but I don't know what that is. So my version will be love. When I have love in my own heart and peace in my heart, I know I'm in God. That's how I know it. And really, really, Gurudev's words saved me so many years ago, because God for me was punishment, this, all this stuff that was put in my head as a child. What a lot of nonsense. And when he said, make peace your God, do not even allow God to take away your peace. Whoa! And then I understood all the fanaticism, how people use God to take people's peace away. And I thought it was so wrong. It just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. So my God changed face into a fake. Into all faces or no faces. Choose your pick. You can see God in everyone or see God in nothing. It's up to you. Whichever path you follow, just connect. So here it is, he says that. And through your practices, there are practices you can do to get connected. And there was a prayer that one of the people from the ashram taught me. I was just trying to remember his name. Sadashiva. He wrote a song for my master when he was alive. And it was, refuge, refuge, I seek in you. Sachidananda Guru, I love you. There is only one boon I ask of thee, to meditate on you constantly. And I just love those two verses. So whenever I got troubled in my mind and the world seems like a horrible place and you feel all alone in this world, I used to say, don't worry, take refuge. And I used to sing these 4 lines, you know, and just let me focus on that. And then I cheer myself up. The plan is perfect. I have to be hurt, I have to be insulted, I have to be shouted at in order to know that I can take refuge somewhere else. This is the life. What do? It's just the way it is. And then that really lightens your soul and your heart. And then you feel, I can do this. I can face the next problem. I can do it. I know it feels horrible, but I can. So because so long as we live, we have no choice, right? It's not so easy to die. Many people go, Nalanie, I want to die. It goes, not so easy to die. And if you commit suicide, you have to do it all over again. Why would you want to do that? And besides, that's very selfish, because you hurt all the people that stay behind. It's so selfish. So not so easy to die. So wanting to die daily just makes you more depressed. So just say, okay, now that I have to live, how do I want to live? And if you're depressed, then how do I work myself to get that inspiration to want to live? That's my work now. That's the only work I have to do. Want to live. Find joy in everything I can. Find joy wherever I can, whatever it is. If you can't find joy in meditation, dance. I say I saw somebody who was so sad. She'd gone through really horrendous time. Really horrendous. And I said, you know what? Have you put on music for the last 6 months? No. Go home, put music on. and dance. Because a person that has a troubled mind, it's very difficult to meditate. You all know that. So put music on, think good thoughts. Remember how you were before you weren't happy. Get yourself home. Get yourself back to who you were. She said, Nalanie, I was such a happy person. I said, yeah. So you did it then, you can do it now, right? What's stopping you but you? I know this horrible things happen to you, but this horrible things happen to you and you're allowing this person to continue hurting you. Now that's dumb. That's really dumb. Why would you let somebody who's hurting you continue hurting you? Drop them. Renunciation. That's where yoga of renunciation comes in this chapter. The wisdom. The wisdom. So you do your karma. But I keep saying this to many of my students. Weakness is not goodness. It's not goodness. And many people just think, I'm good, so I'll do this for you, but it's not goodness. You're encouraging the person to manipulate you more and more and more. So why can't you just say, no more, I'm done. That's it. I love you, but I refuse to do this anymore. And if you're not happy with my way, do it. Done. Be a little detached. Oh, but he or she was good to me many years ago. I said, well, that's done now. Been really horrible the last year. It's over. Of course, people are nice when they want to win you over, don't they? Immediately, when they want to go out with you, well, right, they're so nice and they'll do anything to charm you. And I tell people now, just be careful, men and women alike. Don't jump into relationships so quickly. Wait, time. Be long time with one person. And you really see the beautiful colors come if the person is good. If you are good and you choose to look at the good and they choose to look at your good. And if we both look at each other's good, you'll be good. It's so simple. It is, isn't it? But if you're constantly criticizing somebody all day long, they'll constantly do that to you. That's why they say we mirror each other. We mirror. So no matter how, the person is really stubborn, after a while you just say, you know what? It's not worth the argument. Do what you like. Just do what you like. It's not worth it. It's such a small thing. I'm not going to argue about a small thing. So that's what you do. It's not important. What is really important. So, however people sincerely call on me, I come to them and fulfill their heart's desires. They use many paths to reach me. So if you're sincere, guess what? You do get answers. And everybody's been on this path, and when they've been really sincere and they've really asked for help, they've got help. I've seen this again and again and again. Of course, I get those people who ask for help and they get it, and then they stop practicing and they lose all the sincerity, and 8 months later they come back again when they're in trouble. He's not talking about that. You've got to be constant. 12. In order to succeed, people worship the gods, devas. Success soon comes by actions in the world. So when he says gods here, what is he referring to? In the Christian or Catholic community, you have all the saints, and they pray to the saint of Saint Anthony when you lose something, and another saint when you lose something else. Well, Indian symbolism, people pray to Lord Ganesh when they're in trouble, and they pray to Goddess Lakshmi. And here he's saying, whatever you want, you pray to the gods, you'll get what you want. But I always say to people, be careful what you pray for, you may just get it. Yeah. So always my prayers, and I think we should do this, pray for whatever is best for everyone, including me. The highest good for all, including me. But you've got to include yourself in the highest good. You can't leave yourself out of that equation. Doesn't work. Okay? Because you are part of everybody. So always pray for that. Whatever is best for everyone, including me. So, and he says, you will get things that you want. by variously distributing nature's qualities, gunas, and activities, karma, throughout humanity, I thus created the 4 castes, mental tendencies. Though I am the author of it all, know that I am not the doer, and I never change. So we say, even though I created all these castes and all these difference in people, it's because it's necessary. You need different people to do different things. So in the Indian caste system, which has been so misunderstood by the Indians themselves, there's like the divine created 4 varnas, it's called Varnas. So 4 types of people in this world. We have the Brahmins, the first type of person, which are the intelligentsia, the monks, the people who give higher knowledge, spiritual knowledge, all right? Teachers, people like that. Then you have the Kshatriyas, which are the warriors like Arjuna is, born to protect humanity from wickedness, evil, and destruction. Then you have the Vaishnavas, which are business people. We need business people for this world to rotate. You know, the businessman, the corporation, people to invent new things. You need this. And the business people look after the Kshatriyas, and they look after the Brahmins. This is the way it was organized, because they are corporations and they can take care of the world, feed the world. And then you have the Sudras. The Sudras are the workers, the working class. You need people to work. Everybody, it doesn't mean lower or higher. It just means we need all these things to make our world run. So in India, what did they do? The working class, the people who clean the toilets, etc., they started calling them the untouchables. And that was really a very evil move on India, because they really treated the untouchables so badly. Still do. They still shout and scream at them, and it's horrible. But it was not meant for that. He just says, look, I created this so the world runs. It runs. It's like a wheel. We need all the wheels, all the, what you call spokes of the wheel to make the wheel run. But it's all been misunderstood, as all religion and all tradition and all society misunderstands these beautiful teachings and changes it to suit them. So this is the caste system, and anybody from any caste can rise to a higher place. So even a worker can become a saint, and now Arjuna can become a saint. A saint in the sense of living good. He's saying it's available to everybody. So he says, although I'm the author of it all, I'm the creator, but I don't do anything. I don't do anything. So listen, this is the higher self in us. I am unaffected by all actions, nor do I desire any results. Whoever experiences this quality in me is also free. I'm going to read a few so you understand this. Even the ancients who realized this freedom from all duties nonetheless continue to work in the world. Like those sages, you too should continue to act. Even the sages are sometimes confused about action and inaction. However, I'll tell you now what action is, and you will be freed from all evil. So all he's saying is, you know how people go, oh, God will be disappointed with me, or this one will be disappointed, and goes, you know what? I'm not affected by anything you do. I'm not. And once you realize that, then you change. There's nobody punishing you, nobody forcing you to do anything. You take the responsibility for your own actions. And that's what he's saying. People get confused about karma, action. They don't know what is action, what is inaction, what do, what we don't do. So now I'll tell you what you need to do to free yourself from thinking that kind of like this fever, that I, divine consciousness, is doing all this to you. I only created you. So, next. 17. Distinguish between right action, wrong action, and inaction. The way of karma is nearly impossible to understand, and you can all understand that in your life. You know, when we say, as you sow, you reap, and then it's a mind game, because many people say, but I've only done good, why do I reap so much bad? And I go, it's not a punishment, it's just, it's just action and reaction is a scientific thing. No, God is punishing. It's scientific, it's just science. If you can look at it as science, rather than all this emotion that goes with it. Because it's the emotion that goes with it that creates all the mess in your mind. But if you can stand back and say, okay, so I'm suffering now. I must have done something before. Great, getting it out of the way, right? It's so like non-attached. There's nobody to blame. It's not your fault or your fault or your fault. It's just is. And you take responsibility. That responsibility is great freedom. So much easier than blaming anybody else. 18. The person is wise who sees the inaction in actions and the action in inaction. He or she is a yogi and can accomplish everything. Now, this is a very famous saying in the Gita. Many people quote it. It's been translated differently in many texts, so just don't get confused.
The one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is a wise person, a yogi. Having reached this point, you have accomplished everything. You do, and at the same time, do not. You do not, yet still you do. You sleep, and sleep not. You eat, yet eat not. So on and on, two different things that look like opposites. But the wise person knows the difference. You see inaction amid all the actions. That means you know there are two different things in the same experience, two sides of the same coin. One acts, the other observes. The observer is the witness. As a witness, you don't act. As an actor, you don't witness. If you are a wise person, you take both positions simultaneously. You know who is doing and who is observing. And because you know how to be the witness, then even though your body and mind may be doing things, you know it is not you who is acting.
Says all you see, and for me how I learned this is, first let's go for inaction in action. So normally when we do something, we put too much emotion in it, too much of ourself in it. We color the jobs that we do with our own mindset, from our perception, from our own nervous system, from what happened to us, our traumas and what's happened to us in the past. So we project this out to the world, right? When we understand in action, what happens is, so you do the job, but you're very still inside. You're not having all this mind stuff, all this personal drama, all this conversation in your head. You step back and you do the action. This is why meditation is so important. Simply because it teaches us to focus. And this is how I found it really useful in my life. When you focus, so let's say you have to do a job, for example. We give a very simple example so you understand. Many years ago, I used to go to work, come back home, do all the cooking because my husband didn't cook. I'd get upset. You don't help me in the kitchen, break pans, etc. Make a big fuss, feel sorry for myself, end up in a huge argument, all right? When I started meditating, I realized it couldn't change anybody. So I decided to do whatever that was given to me to do. I chose to do it. Why did I choose to do it? Because I wanted to look like the good wife. But instead of looking like the good wife, I appeared as a monster. Right? Because it was me. I want to be that wife who does everything. I can do it all. I couldn't do it all. I was frustrated. I was angry. I felt a martyr. Wrong feeling. because I was the doer in the sense like all my emotions and you can't treat me like this. I'm a feminist. Oh my God. So you know how you feel. You're like filled with this anguish. Okay, I want to be the good wife. So I'm going to go in the kitchen next time, and I am going to be so peaceful and do the job focused. And this is where meditation, not my husband, not the work, not that, the food. Look at what I'm cooking. I want the food to be delicious for everyone who's going to eat it, especially my husband. I don't want it to be full of anger. It'll make him sick. So, actions. I started to do the cooking and sing with the cooking and do my mantras with the cooking instead of complaining. So there I was acting. This is what I'm given. My natures, I do really want to do this. No martyrdom. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing for that peace in me. So it's quiet. So when I became quiet, guess what? My husband come in the kitchen. Can I help you do this? Can I help you do that? So who changed? So that's how I understood this. I became quiet and just did without expecting anything in return. And the other one, it was quiet. It is action in action. So many of you here, dynamic people, we want to act all the time, want to do. So much doing that we do get like frustrated and stressed out, right? And so, and then when we give ourselves time off, we feel guilty. I can't be watching TV. Oh, I love. At the end of the day, probably watch a series with Les tonight. Why? Shut down, have fun, you know? I don't feel guilty at all. Great, I want to enjoy the earth a little bit too, right? So here you're doing the, you're not worried about your inaction also. Because in that action there is love. In that action there is joy. In that action is, oh, thank you, Divine, to give me this place, this lovely home where I can sit on the sofa and just, wow, at the end of the day, I worked really hard and I can like just relax now. It's that kind of, there's so much action going on in the inaction. There is such a peace going on that is actually so good for me. But anybody looking at it could not see that, can they? They cannot recognize it. Because we cannot recognize other people and what's going on inside of them. That's why they say never judge a book by its cover, right? Because you don't know where the person is coming from. So many times people have described their partners or their family to me as monsters. And when they walked into the office, that's not what I saw. That's not what I saw. So when you're in inaction and you have action, you're very aware. You're very awake. You're very conscious, you know. Are you feeling hot? Are you feeling cold? You're conscious, not because you're thinking it, because poof, it just comes through you. You're conscious, you're aware, you're awake, because you're not into yourself and you're not applying your story to people. You're not applying your story. It's just, in this silence, there is so much going on. So why don't we just take a moment of silence and see how much is going on? Close your eyes. Inhale. Exhale very slowly. Make the exhalation very long. Inhale again. Now exhale. And when you finish exhaling, just hold your breath. Inhale again. Exhale again, very long. When you finish exhaling, just hold your breath. Stay in the silence till you need to breathe again at your own pace. And then repeat it 3 more times. Did you feel your nervous system working? Did you feel the warmth in your hands? Did you feel energy come through you? Be bigger than the mind stuff. Be aware of your nervous system. Be aware of what's happening in your body, the peace you're feeling. And then after a while, you don't even have to be aware anymore, right? But practice takes you there, and time takes you there. You've got to be patient. And then you can see in the silence, there's everything. And when you come out, it's the brain. At rest. Get a rest. And even that 1 minute rest makes such a difference to your energy field, to your nervous system. Even that 1 minute. So don't think that, just because I can't keep quiet for like 2 hours, you're getting nowhere, you're getting everywhere. Okay? So that's what you all need to do more often. And my father taught me something that I really appreciated, because when I started on the yogic path, everybody was talking about meditating for very long, and I felt there was something very wrong with me because, like I said, I had a very active mind and I couldn't keep it quiet. And my father said to me, darling, 2 minutes of sincere prayer is worth hours of meditation. Sincere prayer. Yeah, and that kept me going. Still today, when some days the mind is a little crazy, as it will be because we're on this earth. It's normal. I don't think twice about it. It's normal. We're on this earth. That's, again, you see the action going on, but you're not bothered by it. You just tell yourself, normal. See, you don't get into that story. I can't meditate. I keep my mind. No, normal. You're watching it. You know it's going crazy. That means there is something going on. You are aware that it's going crazy, but you're not allowing it to affect you. This is renunciation. All right? So you're doing the act and you're renouncing the result. Okay? The fact that you can watch it and say, it's the gunas. Today, the gunas, the nature's all over the place, our mind's all over the place. But I am quiet. All right? I am quiet. Don't get pulled in. This is renunciation. So then he says, when you can do that, you can accomplish many things. You can accomplish anything. Why? Because you focus. So if you want to do something, you can do it. Whoever does things without personal desire for the results is called wise by the sages. That person's actions are pure and he knows the truth. Why? Again, like I showed you just now, personal desire, no clinging. I'm meditating, my mind has to be quiet, there's no clinging. It's not that you're not doing the action, it's not that you have to renounce everything. It's not that you don't have desires, it's you don't have the clinging to the desire. The desire can be there, but so long as it doesn't control you, you don't cling. It's the clinging of the desire that gets you in trouble. So here he says, when you don't cling, you can see your desire, and then when you don't get desire, you really want it in the early stages and you don't get it, you go through what we call tapas. It's painful. And that's what we call in Sri Patanjali, Book 2, Sutra 1, accepting pain for purification. You're just growing up, that's all, spiritually. It's no big deal. But to go from letting go of your desires is the hardest thing in the world to do. Not easy. That's why you have to accept pain to get through it. And that's why you have to forgive to get through it. And that's why you have to work. It's not going to happen just because, oh, I take refuge in you and everything is going to be okay. No, I take refuge in you because I'm going through a lot of pain and I know I can get through it with your help. I know my higher self can do this. I know it. I'm not afraid of pain. And this is the teaching. And then you get through it. You get through it. You always get through it, sooner or later, right? Look at your life. Go back in your life. How much suffering have you gone through? Haven't you always got through it? Don't you always make it? It's incredible. We're quite resilient. Because he has let go attachment to the fruits of his actions, he is ever content and has no dependencies. You don't expect anything. You don't expect anything from anyone. You don't expect anything, even sometimes from yourself. Sometimes you just can't do it. It's okay. Sometimes I'm just not good enough. It's okay. I can't be perfect all the time. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, right? It's okay. You let go. Okay, I did my best and maybe it didn't turn out. It's okay. I remember Gurudev's words, when I first started teaching, and he said, and once he was doing a talk and he said, I just come and sit and talk and give my best. And if I say something wrong, I do it all for the divine. And if I do something wrong, then I'll be God's fool. No big deal. And that's what I think all the time. If I do something wrong, then I'm the fool. Doesn't matter if I'm the fool. I'm not even attached to that anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? How you apply it to your life. We judge ourselves for everything. Because of the expectation. Oh, I want people to like me. Okay, if they don't, I do my best. That's all I can do. Anyway, this knowledge doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everyone, And if I'm going to be corrected, guess what? Somebody always comes and will correct me. Great. I'm so happy about that. There's no expectation. There's no worry about pride or ego. You like me, great. You don't like me, it's also great. I just love this work. I love this work because while I'm here, my mind is so clear. It's so clear. It's my gift. I thank God for the gift. Do you see? There's no judgment in it. It's the personal judgment that stops us from growing. Or wanting to appear good to somebody else or wonderful to somebody else. No, I'm not here to do that. I can't do that. I can never do that. Neither do I want to do that. Because, somebody puts you on a pedestal, next day they'll drop you down. Better not to be on the pedestal. See, that non-attachment. Are you getting renunciation? Are you understanding? It doesn't mean you don't work. It's you don't seek the results. Your result is your joy of doing whatever you do. And if you have to do a job today, you have to do it, people don't like it, is their problem, is their judgment. You see, this is why the way of karma, like Lord Krishna said, is very difficult to understand. Even the wise get confused by it. And when you want people to think highly of you, then you give your freedom away. You give your freedom away. I just want to be kind, that's all. That's all I know. I just want to be kind. And if I can't be kind, get out of the way. That's it. Full stop. Make your life really easy. Don't be attached to all these things. This is why all these scriptures tell you, don't hanker for attention. Don't hanker for fame. Don't hanker. These desires are going to make you miserable. Because if people don't listen to you, you will get upset. You will fall from that pedestal. And you will feel the fall. Don't feel the fall. Feel, wow, I jumped down and it's great fun. That's it. Have you got that message? Don't take anything personally. You'll be disappointed in life. You see how much richness there is in just a few slokas. And it's a lot to munch over. And our master used to say, even if you take one sloka a day and Just meditate on it. Even the action and inaction, inaction and action, the way of karma is difficult to understand. What is good action, what is bad action, and what is, just okay, right? You don't judge yourself so much. It's the personal judgment that confuses because you want a result. Even I want people to think I'm good is a result you want. If you are good, you don't need to even want that. People will know. They will know. You don't even have to want it. And if they don't know, they don't know. You can't force them, right? So this is the attitude. And when that gives you freedom to live your life. There was a saying by Gurudev which really, again, helped me a lot in my life. Let me see if I can recall it now. I used it a lot in my earlier life to get me through things. You cannot please everyone. So instead, please yourself if the motive is for the highest good. Then you will be pleasing God. Okay? Cannot please everyone. Therefore, please yourself if it is for the highest good. Then you will be pleasing God. And haven't we seen that in this world with lots of martyrs and good people, who for the highest good maybe have not pleased society, but they really believed in the highest good. And that's how you have to live, in your highest good. But you apply them to yourself. You read the slokas, you apply them to your mind stuff. And you get lots of answers by doing that. So rather than waste time talking about people's follies and their problems, spend time in refining yourself, refining your own mind, refining your own work, whatever God gives you to do, whatever job you've been doing, have to do, just do it well. And things sometimes don't work out. You plan it, they don't work out. Sorry, that's life. It just doesn't work out. If you have no expectations, you just say God's plan is perfect. That's all you say.